Hello everyone, and in this video I'll be showing you how to use Sass inside of our Gridsome project. Then we're going to be able to add in a global Sass variables that'll allow us to access our colors inside of our whole web page. And all we have to do is call in these variables in here that is in the Sass language. So Sass includes variables, and it also allows us to use nesting, which basically you can target the element and then you can use a class inside of it, and that means that it'll only target this element right here that is inside of the parent element. So you're able to structure your CSS like how you are able to as HTML. So to use Sass, we have to do npm install -d for dev Sass loader and node Sass. So I'm just going to copy this command. Now I'm going to go into my terminal. I'm going to paste that in. Now it's going to be installing Sass, so then we're going to be able to use it in our project. So let's just set it up. So then we're going to have, so I'm going to create our variable Sass file, and so I'm going to hit new folder inside of our assets folder, and then I'm going to type in Sass, and so we're going to have all of our Sass code inside of here. And I'm going to create a variables .sass. Oh, actually, we're going to be using SCSS. And that's Sass also, it's just that you use the syntax of CSS. Okay, so we have that file created, and I'm just going to paste in my variables with all of my colors. And I created this color scheme with coolers.co. So I just copied that, and now I pasted it into here. So you can see all of our colors that we're going to be using inside of our web page. So now if this is done installing, yeah, it's done installing. So now we can see if it's allowing us to use Sass inside of our files by going into the index page. And I'm just going to go to the bottom, and you can see we have a style tag. And to make it Sass, all we have to do is add in the language attribute, and we set that equal to Sass. You can see SCSS, SCSS. Then we can just type in some Sass code right here. So if I had a variable, and let's set this to white, and then we'll make the color of the links the variable. And if I run our server, you can see that the color of the links is white because we had a variable, which this is using Sass, because you denote a variable using the $sign, and then you write the name of it. So if I also I could change this into .home links, and then I did A. So we're going to target all the anchor tags within this .home links class, and you can see that we still have the same output. So now we're going to be making the colors or variables.sass. Let me just rename this colors.sass. We're going to be making this global, so that we're going to be able to access all of these colors instead of all of our files without having to import them. So normally, if you wanted to import them into every single file by yourself manually, you do @import, and then we're just going to /assets/sass/colors.scss. And I should be able to just get rid of this and then do light blue semicolon, and you can see that it's using the light blue color from our colors. So instead of having to import our Sass file into every single one of our Vue pages, we can just use it globally by going to the documentation. To use a global preprocessor file, you need to install style-resources-loader. So we're going to do npm i-d, and then we're going to install it. So if I stop our server, and then this error right here is just because the light blue wasn't declared because I had stopped loading it into that Sass file. So let me just remove that. Well, actually, we'll leave it there to see for later. Okay, so while we're waiting for that to install, we're just going to set the font that we're going to be using in our web page, and that's Open Sans. So I'm on the fonts.google.com, and I've picked all of the styles that we're going to be using by hitting remove and add the style. And we're just going to be using 300, 400, and 600, and no italics. So I'm going to hit the embed button. Now I'm just going to do @import. So this is a CSS way to import it. I'm just going to copy this. And then we're going to go into our global CSS file. We're going to paste that in. And then we're just going to set font family to Open Sans. And then we're going to make that important to overwrite any of the other stylings that were in there. So if our server's actually not running right now, so we have to rerun our server. And so we will be able to use that font. You should be able to see the font that's being used now. So now we have to make it so that our global preprocessor file, which is the colors.sass, is able to be used inside of all of our pages. So we should be able to do color and then light blue and access it in this page without having to import the Sass file. So to do that, we have some code right here that we're going to have to paste in for gridsome.config.js. And so I'm just going to copy this code right here. We're going to paste it before the module.exports. So I'm going to go into gridsome.config. Then we're going to paste it in before this module.exports. And you can see that it's using all of this different code right here. And I'm not going to be using the different version of Sass, which is right here. So I can just remove all of this in front of it because we're not going to be using an underscore globals. We just want it to be loading in any Sass file inside of it. So actually I can remove all of this because we're just using the .scss. And then we also have to paste in this code right here into our module.exports. So I'm going to copy this, and then we're going to do a comma at the bottom of this and paste it in. So now we can just remove this Sass here because we're just using this type of Sass. And so now I should be able to uncomment this code, and we are importing that Sass file into this page. And if I we have to run our server. Okay, so our server is running. And you can see that the Open Sans font is being loaded in. And also you can see that the light blue color variable that is inside of our colors.sass is being loaded in from here through this gridsome.config.js and then pasted inside of here so we can use all of these variables. We're using the light blue variable. So now we're going to be able to use these variables inside of all of our pages in our later tutorials while we're building our portfolio and blog without having to paste that in. So I hope I see you guys in the next lecture.